Alright, so let's add and subtract fractions with different denominators and mixed numbers. In this problem, they want us to find the lowest common denominator for the fractions 7/12 and 5/18. So we want to find the denominator that both 12 and 18 will both go into. So I start listing the factors of 18. I always start with my highest number. You don't have to. I just do because I feel like I have to list less numbers that way. So I list the multiples of 18. And 18? Will 12 go into 18 evenly? Nope. So what's the next multiple of 18? It's 36. Will 12 go into 36 evenly? Yes, it will. So I'm going to create an equivalent fraction. Now we've actually already answered this question. This question is just asking for the LCD, and the LCD is 36 in this case. I'm going to take this problem just a step further, and I'm going to create equivalent fractions though. So if I were making an equivalent fraction of 7/12 with a denominator of 36, I had to multiply 12 by 3 to get it to be 36, so I've got to multiply 7 by 3, and I get 21. Now, if I were making an equivalent fraction for 5/18, what did I have to multiply 18 by to get it to be 36? I had to multiply by 2. So therefore, I have to multiply the top by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. So my equivalent fractions are 21/36 and 10/36. Okay, for this one, the least common denominator for the fractions 8/15 and 11/24. Again, I always pick my biggest denominator. And so my biggest denominator is 24, and I start listing multiples of 24. So will 15 go into 24 evenly? No. What's 24 times 2? 48. Will 15 go into 48 evenly? No. 24 times 3 is 72. Will 15 go into 72 evenly? Nope. So let's try 24 times 4, which is 96. Will 15 go into 96 evenly? No. So 24 times 5, and I get 120. Will 15 go into 120 evenly? Yep, it will. 8 times, so 120 divided by 15 is 8. So I do know it goes in evenly. So our LCD for this problem is 120. If I were adding or subtracting this, I would create equivalent fractions with a common denominator of 120. Okay, with this problem, convert 1/4 and 1/6 to equivalent fractions with a denominator of 12, which is their LCD. So I've got 1/4, and I want to convert it into something with a denominator of 12. What did I have to multiply 4 by to get it to be 3? I had to multiply it by 3. So I have to multiply the top by 3, and 1 times 3 is 3. So the equivalent fraction of 1/4 with a denominator of 12 is 3/12. Now I'm going to convert 1/6 into something with a denominator of 12. What did I have to multiply 6 by to get it to be 12? Multiply by 2, so I've got to multiply the top by 2 as well. 2 times 1 is 2. So 3/12 and 2/12 is our answer for this problem. Okay, we had this problem earlier. The only difference is the last time they asked us to create equivalent, to find the LCD, and we discovered that that was 120. And now we're asked to create equivalent fractions with the denominator of 120. So 8/15 is equal to something over 120. What do you have to multiply 15 by to get it to be 120? You have to multiply it by 8. So I need to multiply the top by 8 as well. 8 times 8 is 64. That's the equivalent fraction. Now I'm going to convert 11/24 into something over 120. What do I have to multiply 24 by to get it to be 120? I have to multiply by 5. So I have to multiply the top by 5. 11 times 5 is 55. At this point, I could add or subtract those fractions since they now have a common denominator. But that's not what the question is asking. It just asked to create equivalent fractions, and we did. So these two pieces right here would be our answer. Alright, if I want to add 1/2 and 1/3, you cannot add fractions that do not have the same denominator. So I usually try to do these vertically, so I will write my fractions vertically, 1/2 plus 1/3. And I create my equivalent fractions next to those fractions. Now what is the common denominator between 2 and 3? It is 6. And so now I've got to create my equivalent fractions. What did I multiply 2 by to get it to be 6? I multiplied by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Now on the bottom one, what did I have to multiply 3 by to get it to be 6? I had to multiply it by 2, so I have to multiply the top by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Now that they have the same denominator, I can add these guys together. So you just add your numerators together. 3 plus 2 is 5. You do not add your denominators together. 5/6 is our answer here. On this problem, I don't necessarily need to multiply both by something to get a common denominator. So what is my common denominator between 2 and 4? It's actually 4. So I need to convert that 1/2 into something over 4. So what did I have to multiply 2 by? I had to multiply it by 2. Got to multiply the top by 2. 2 times 1 is 2. Now, one thing I want you guys to notice here is that I have a double negative here. So remember, that implies that we add this problem. So now we do have a common denominator, so you just add your numerators together. 2 plus 1 is 3, and you leave your denominator the same. This one is finished. Okay, for this problem, we want to find our common denominator, and I think we discovered this one earlier. The common denominator between 18 and 12 is 36. So I want these two equivalent fractions as something over 36. So what did I have to multiply 12 by to get it to be 36? I had to multiply by 3. So 7 times 3 is 21. I have to multiply 18 by 2, so I've got to multiply 5 by 2 to get that equivalent fraction, and I get 10. Now I'm going to add the numerators only. 21 plus 10 is 31. Do not add your denominators together. Okay, with this problem, we actually had these fractions earlier. We didn't fully create the equivalent fraction, so we're going to do that now. 24 times what gives you 120? It's times 5. So I've got to do 19 times 5, and that gives us 95. And then I have to do 15 times what number? Let's see here. What was that? Oh yeah, it was 8. So I've got to multiply the bottom by 8. I've got to multiply the top by 8. 7 times 8 is 56. Now remember, this is a subtraction problem. Can I take 56 away from 95 away from 56? Well, I can, but it's going to be a negative number. So to do this, I would need to do 95 minus 56, and I get negative 39. So this right here becomes negative 39 over 120. Now, you always need to reduce your fractions if you can. And it looks like they both have a factor of 3 that can come out. So I divide the top by 3 and I get negative 13. I divide the bottom by 3 and I get 40. So this answer is negative 13/40. Okay, on this one I've got negative 11/30, and I'm adding 23/42. So I need to get a common denominator between 30 and 42. And that number is 210. Okay, so I need to multiply the top by 7 over 7, and I get negative 77. And on the bottom, I need to multiply the top and the bottom by 5. So 23 times 5 is 115. Okay, so notice I have negative 77. I'm going to write this off to the side. Negative 77 plus 115. And so because our signs are different, we're going to subtract the smaller from the larger and keep the sign of the larger number. So this answer is going to be positive, and I get a positive 38 over 210. Now, I definitely know that these are even numbers, so they're at the very minimum divisible by 2, but could they be divisible by 4? Well, I don't think so, because 4 won't go into 38 evenly because it goes into 36 evenly. So I do think that we can reduce these guys by a power of 2, though. So 38 divided by 2 is 19. 210 divided by 2 is 105. And this is a positive 19 over 105. Okay, this problem right here. Again, just because we have a variable in the numerator on one of them doesn't mean that we do the problem any different. We've got 3/5 plus x over 8. What is our common denominator between 5 and 8? It is 40. So I had to multiply 8 by 5. I'm going to multiply the top by 5. I have to multiply 5 by 8. So I've got to multiply the top by 8. And whenever I do that, 8 times 3 is 24. 5 times x is 5x. Whenever I add 24 plus 5x, I know that those are not like terms, so I really can't add those together, but I can write them together like this. 24 plus 5x over 40. What's the best I can do with this problem? Okay, adding mixed numbers is really not any different than adding any other numbers. You just have to have a common denominator. There are several ways to do this. When you have a common denominator like this, probably the fastest and easiest way is to add your numerators. 4 plus 2 is 6. Keep your denominators the same. Add your units number. 3 plus 2 is 5. So you have 5 and 6/9. Always, always, always reduce if you can. So 6/9, they both have a factor of 3. So I can reduce 6/9 to be 2/3. The other way to do this is to turn them into improper fractions. That takes a little bit more time, and I like that way better when I'm subtracting. I feel like I don't lose my negatives as easily whenever I'm subtracting. But whenever I've got something simple like this, I just leave it as is. Now, if I wanted to turn that into an improper here at the end, I could. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 2 is 17 over 3. Either one of those you would get full credit on a test with me. Okay, now this problem is just a little bit different. Again, we're going to use the same method that we used on the last one. Add your 5 and your 7 together. You get 12. Your denominator is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. But doesn't that look a little bit funny to you that you have a big units number of 14, and then you also have an improper fraction. It is not okay to leave your answer in this form. For one thing, it's not reduced, but another thing, you have an improper and a mixed number at the same time. So you can only have one or the other. So what you want to do is you want to see that 9 will go into 12. How many times? It'll go in one whole time. So that means that this 14 becomes a 15. Whenever 9 went into 12, I had 3 left over, so I put 3 over 9. Now I need to reduce that 3/9 to become 1/3. Okay, with this problem, we are going to convert first. That's what this says. It says to convert the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So I'm going to write 3 7/8 as 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 7 is 31. Your denominator doesn't change. Now to that I'm going to add 8 times 4 is 32. 32 plus 3 is 35. Denominator doesn't change. So now we're going to add 31 and 35 together, and I get 66 over 8. Now, this isn't reduced. So you can write your answer as, if I reduce by a power of, let's see here, 2, I would get 33 over 4. That is a perfectly good answer for full credit. If you were to give me that 4 goes into 33 8 times with 1 left over, that also would get you full credit on a test. I really don't care if you give me either one of these answers. As long as you give me the reduced, I'm okay. Okay, now this problem. This one might be actually easier to do as an improper, or you can use the borrowing method. It doesn't matter. Notice we're subtracting. Can I take 4 away from 3 easily? No, I would have to borrow. So in order to borrow, I borrowed 1 right here, so this becomes 4. And then the fast and easy way, because I'm actually borrowing 5/5, which equals 1, the fast and easy, you want to go for cheap and easy here, add the denominator, the numerator together, and that becomes your new numerator. That's the cheap and easy way to do this. So now you want to subtract. 8 minus 4 is 4. Denominator doesn't change. 4 minus 2 is 2. This is your answer right here. Okay, this problem says to convert to improper fractions. So I would do 11 times 9 is 99. 99 plus 6 is 105 over 11. And I'm subtracting. 11 times 7 is 77, plus 10 is 87 over 11. And now off to the side, I'm going to subtract 105 minus 87. 15 minus 7 is what? 8. 9 minus 8 is 1, so I get 18 over 11. That can't be reduced anymore. But you could also give me an answer of 1 7/11. Either one of these would be perfect score on a quiz or a test. Okay, on this problem right here, we need to get common denominators before we do anything. So I would still have the 2 right there. My common denominator between 2 and 3 is 6. So I have to multiply this by 3. So I've got to multiply this by 3. 3 times 1 is 3. On the bottom I have a 6 down there as well. So I had to multiply that by 2, and I've got to multiply this by 2. So I get 4 right there. Now, let's just add these guys together. 3 plus 4 is 7 over 6. That doesn't change. 2 plus 5 is 7. Again, I now have a mixed number and an improper fraction at the same time. That is not okay. 7 will go into 6 one time, so I'm going to add 1 to that 7 right here. So this becomes 8. Whenever 6 went into 7, I had 1 left over. There's my answer right there. Okay, on this problem right here, we don't need to change the bottom one. We already have an 8. Their common denominator is 8, so I just need to change this top one. So I had to multiply that by 2, so I've got to multiply that by 2. So I get 6/8 right there. This didn't change. I get 7/8 right there. Now, can I take 7 away from 6? No. So I have to borrow. So that becomes a 3. And remember, cheap and easy is you add the 8 and the 6 together and you get 14. So now I'm going to subtract 14 minus 7 and I get 7. Denominator doesn't change. Now I've got 3 minus 2 on my units here, so 1 and 7/8 is my answer. Okay, this is one of those times that I'm going to recommend that you turn these both fractions into improper. And we're going to do that by multiplying 11 times 3, which is 33, plus 5 is 38 over 11. Because I'm subtracting here. And 4 times 4 is 16. 16 plus 3 is 19 over 4. Okay, so now I need to find a common denominator between 11 and 4, and that is going to be 44. So I had to multiply 11 by 4, so I've got to multiply 38 by 4. Whenever I multiply 38 by 4, I get 152 on top. I've got 44 here on bottom. I had to multiply 4 by 11, so that means I have to multiply 19 by 11, and I get 209. And don't forget we're subtracting here, so look at this. I've got 152 minus 209. So our answer is going to be negative. So off to the side here, I'm going to do 209 minus 152. Because our signs are different, I have to subtract. And I'm going to keep the sign of the larger number. 9 minus 2 is 7. I get negative 57 over 44. And honestly, that's a perfectly good answer, but if you're turning that into a mixed number, you would get negative 1 and 13/44. Either one of those answers would be great and perfect on a test or a quiz.